Most people don't experience anything this town has to offer, the ones who live here. No riverboat rides, no buggy rides, no walking tours, no bus tours. This state has so many things to offer. The only time we usually see locals on our tours is rare, really rare. But usually the only time is Halloween time.
It's a good time for New Orleans. Halloween's always I love Halloween in New Orleans because it's like the first breath of cool air comes through the city. And it always is it was my whole childhood. It could be 1,000 degrees and then Halloween night's like the first night that there's like a little chill in the air.
Welcome to Above the Legal Limit. I'm your host, Justin Chopin, business owner, lawyer, dad, world's best husband, traveler, and adventure seeker. On this podcast, we mix business with pleasure. We'll dive into growth strategies, entrepreneurial adventures, the business of law, and prove that business isn't boring. So let's get ready because we are going above the legal limit.
Welcome to Above the Legal Limit. I'm Justin Chopin. Very cool guest today. He started telling me about his history, and we're going to get back to it. I said, nope, save it for the show. So, Sidney Smith, thank you for coming on the show. Founder and CEO of Haunted History Tours here in New Orleans, which I'm very familiar. But you were telling me about your history before the Haunted History Tours. So if you want to tell, we've got millions of viewers all across the globe who are interested
From uptown to Lakeview.
Well, yeah, I think there's one person uptown, and my wife listens allegedly in Lakeview. So we've got the whole globe that matters covered here. Mm-hmm. So hey, I will tell you, I was going to say this earlier. I know Haunted History Tours for sure. You guys have done a masterful job of being in the right place in New Orleans in marketing. I'm part, so you started, what year did you say it started?
95.
So I remember doing it in 98, possibly 1999, with some friends from college. We were in town. My mother's like, oh, you should go do these haunted history tours. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I think you guys were still, that was a different time. That was pre-Katrina, a lot of energy in the French Quarter in those days.
Vampire energy.
And a lot of vampire energy. It was like a thing.
A little vampire clique back then in the 90s.
Is that out now? Like nobody's into vampires anymore?
No, they're into vampires. It's just not like it was in the 90s.
It was
in the 90s, there was a whole little group of people that really truly believed themselves to be vampires.
Yes.
And they hung out down the quarter around Pirates Alley, and it was a nightly thing.
It was a thing. So well, we had the best time. So I took, none of my friends, I was in college in Dallas. I took all my friends. Everybody loved it. We did the vampire tour. So I know what you're talking about. It used to end at the Fatted Calf, which holds like a really special place in my heart. Not because of like whatever the weird stuff they had on the second floor, but they made, and I think it's like what, not Dare No More, like the New Orleans.
Well, you mean the Fatted Calf?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's changed.
Yeah, it's like a million times.
It's called Your Mama's.
So they used to do this peanut butter hamburger.
Yeah.
That was probably one of my most favorite things in the world. And it's like, you can't have it at like noon on a Tuesday, right? There has to be like an alcohol component. You got and you have to be judicious with it. You can't be like get it dressed with extra, you got to know.
There has to be an alcohol component to eat the burger.
Like I think it just enhances the peanut butter burger.
I always
if you had a couple of beers,
Be a different type of component.
Well, whatever you're into, like I don't know, like meth, I don't know,
right?
But
you're the attorney. I'll be coming to see you.
But if you've had a few beers, that peanut butter burger is where you need to be. And I don't think they have it anymore, and it's hard.
I don't know
because it was.
Yeah, I remember it though.
Yeah, it was good. But so in those days it was a lot of fun. It was so much fun. We went back and did it again.
The gumbo there was great. The gumbo was better than some of the restaurants serving gumbo in this town. The gumbo at a bar, amazing.
Yeah. That's what people coming down. That was like, where's the best place for whatever they did? Where's the best place for gumbo? Where's the best place for jambalaya? And I was like, at your mom's house. I don't know.
Where's the best ghost tour?
Right.
Where's the best vampire tour?
Well, so now you've got competition in the market, right?
Yeah.
So in those days, we didn't. If you wanted to hear about vampires, you were the guy. Y'all have a lot more competition now.
You're
still the guy. You're still the guy to tell us about vampires.
I mean, we spawned everybody. Honestly, I'm not saying that to be.
I like that word, like spawned, like vampires, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying to be cocky or arrogant or whatever, but it's true.
It's a fact.
we started the whole thing. Haunted History Tours was the original. Everybody followed, just like the Beatles were the original. Everybody followed.
Kids say OG now.
Yeah, right.
If you want to get with a hip audience in like the Bywater area or Mid-City, we have to say OG.
Okay.
You guys are the OG.
OG. We are the GOAT.
The GOAT. Also.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In any event, but I mean, everything we do is copied. I mean, literally. I mean, if I wear a paper bag over my head tonight and give a tour, tomorrow night every company in town will be wearing paper bags over their heads giving tours, and it's just the way it is. I guess flattery, all that good stuff.
Exactly.
But
everybody's always copying me, so I get it. Everyone's like, I'm going to be a lawyer too.
yeah, amazing, isn't it? So, but that's the nature of the beast. And but we still, I mean, we used to have lines of people right around the block, down the street. You can only cut the pie so many ways. Only the strong survive. We've got a good, model, and everybody seemed to have followed it. And some do a good job, some not so much so. But if you want a solidly good job consistently, then you go to Haunted History Tours.
Totally agree.
Did I mention hauntedhistorytours.com?
HauntedHistoryTours.com, where you can find out more. Or, let's be real, you guys have your brochures in all the right places. So we used to go get coffee at
That's
the
no
ring.
accident, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's like just
And I have to
always.
always replace our brochures because our competitors childishly are throwing them in the trash cans. Amazingly, I know. Isn't that ridiculous? Junior high school behavior.
There's
I've never
There's
stepped
enough
on
room
number
for
2
everybody.
to be number 1. I've never stepped on number 3 or number 4 to be number 1. I do it because of our hard work. But literally, I've had concierges at hotels call me and say, "Oh, by the way, this company, we saw them in the lobby taking your brochures and throwing them in the trash." It's childish nonsense.
that doesn't work. Stick to imitating. You don't have to do that.
I can imitate all 4 individual Beatles if you'd like.
Hello, this is John Lennon. Thank you very much. And Yoko and I are going to the movies. So here's Paul. Thank you very much. It's Paul McCartney. I'm the angelic Beatle. Here's George. Hello, I'm George House. I'm the quiet Beatle. Here's Ringo. Peace and love. Peace and love.
It's just one of my little things I do.
I like that.
Carry
so,
on.
No, that's good. That's good if we need to. So, I said that this podcast is not very interesting, and you said, well, I'm interested. So I said, well, look, the good news is that's why you're here, because you can do interesting things, and I don't have
You will be
much
amazed
to
to
talk
how
about.
many interesting things I can do.
We're going to talk. You were a male stripper, or do we not want to talk about that?
Well, I'm not going to get up on your table now and dance.
Well, no, not this.
But,
table,
But I mean, I'm also past that age at this point.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I figure when I'm 75, I'll pull out the G-string and start rampy-grams and,
I think you could make. There's like a niche for that. You could
Rampy-grams?
Yeah. I mean, I don't
Come
know.
on, ladies, let's go. Have a good one on me.
I think that's the kind of thing people could get behind. Not out of any other reason, just like morbid curiosity.
No. I think it would be a comic strip at that point.
Yeah. Well, a comic strip. I like that.
I come up with all the
These are the good ideas. How'd you come up with haunted history tours?
Magical mystery tour, haunted history tour. It's just like it's just haunted history. It just flows.
So what made you think?
I got too old to be a male stripper. So I figured, I could be a 90-year-old tour guide, but I couldn't be a 90-year-old stripper. But then I started thinking about rampy-grams, but that's a whole other story. We can cover that later. Haunted history tours came into my mind because I was literally thinking of something, the next stage. I actually reinvent myself all the time. It's not just, I'm not the kind of guy who got the job at 21 and just stayed all my life and, like a boring lawyer type thing,
Yes.
So anyway.
No imagination.
No imagination whatsoever. Although I would have been a good lawyer, I can tell you that right now. I've been told that many times. But I wouldn't have wanted to do a family law. Criminal lawyer, I could have done that really well.
That's exciting.
Anyway, I'm trying to figure out what to do next in my life, and I'm from New Orleans, born and raised here. As a matter of fact, I think I'm the only tour operator born and raised in New Orleans. I am not imported from anywhere else.
We like that. We know, like locals always know.
Yeah, you're right, darling. Jesus, God,
Where'd you go to
save but
school?
not. Yeah, you're right.
Anyway, I went to Forte, and I am educated. I had 2 parents who were teachers, so there you go.
There you go.
But I can do the New Orleans accent if you'd like.
I can't because I'm part of the newer not the new generation, but that newer generation. So my father has like a very thick sort of New Orleans accent, not maybe Chalmette, not West Bank, but it's
it's there. You can be on a plane somewhere and you hear an accent. That's New Orleans right there.
Just kind of you can kind of hear it. It's interesting to see what pockets of the city you still have that accent. I was interviewing somebody, Allison McComb, who is a renowned voice coach. And it was really interesting. It was a great interview because she works with people on accents and dialects, and we were talking about New Orleans and how we have these different dialects. And I don't know any other city necessarily where you have that. I mean, there are some, of course.
Well, there's no other state.
New York and
you realize how many
Boston.
accents are just in the state of Louisiana? You got the Cajun accent, you got the Southern accent, you got the New Orleans accent. There's some accents that you don't even want to go there. I mean,
Right.
You can't even understand them.
But it is interesting to see how, we sort of
Yo, what's up in the house?
But every now and then, right? I mean, every now and then you'll hear it, there's still some pockets of the city, you still hear the accent. Well, I think that's great. I love, look, New Orleans, we're very, what's the word?
Eclectic.
No, that's not where yes, but,
Different.
we're self-obsessed, narcissistic almost. Some would say loyal, but you can take loyalty and you can like really turn it into something else. We are self-obsessed. Like New Orleans is just obsessed with itself, which is great. Look, I'm born and raised here too, so I love New Orleans. So I'm allowed to make fun of it. What's that?
Lakeview, is that what you said? Lakeview?
So I live in Lakeview now. I grew up kind of, right on 17th Street Canal. Like my mother grew up right there, and my grandmother grew up right there, and my great grandfather had built a house. So that old New Orleans where you don't really move away.
Were you right there when Katrina hit? 17th Street Canal?
So when Katrina hit, I was in law school, and my law partner, actually Adam, and I had an apartment on 8th and Magazine above a Lebanese restaurant. And so that was an interesting time. So we're the family home and all that on the 17th Street Canal. We were on the right in the old Metairie line. So they were fine.
You didn't
they were
float
fine.
away.
No. They were very fortunate.
I floated away.
You floated away. Well, many of us, I did not. I was very fortunate. I did not float away, with the grace of God. I had to spend a long, 6 months in Houston. And we were here for all of it. So it's interesting, the New Orleans. We have a lot of people in our office that maybe were not born and raised here, and they're younger, and so their view of New Orleans is just so different.
How old is your secretary?
Well, you're not allowed to ask them their age, so I don't ask that. You get sued for that. Don't do that. But you can find it out, right? You could be like,
I don't mind finding it out at all. I just wanted to find out if she was your significant other before I asked.
No, I'm married. I got, but
and I'm not.
Can't.
I'm not.
But I don't ask them. But you can't ask them. We're like, I was going to put some candles in your cake. Would that be 22, 23?
It's all right. I'd like to put some candles in her cake.
So, but their view of New Orleans is so interesting because they don't know 1995 New Orleans, and they don't actually know 2010 New Orleans. That sort of those 5 years of just the other day I was.
You know, because they come from other cities.
Like they're coming from like California. I've got someone from Denver. I got someone from Pennsylvania, and they're young, right? Like, they're like 22 years old, and so it's interesting. It's interesting to kind of see the way that they view what we have, and it's in stark contrast to how I view New Orleans. But
I spend a lot of time with younger people, and I spend a lot of time with you my own age.
It's overrated.
The conversations are vastly different.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
they keep you youthful.
Younger people, it's all about EDM and road trips and festivals and piercings and tattoos. Around people my age, how's that cancer scan?
Yeah,
Did you get your hiatal hernia looked at? What about the back problem? So it's a whole different dynamic. So I stay young by hanging out with younger people, and when I get up in the morning, I don't like to look at an old person.
Hey, I read an article that says people who have children later in life tend to live longer and be healthier later in life.
People who have no children at all probably are the best.
Could be. Or maybe not, I don't know.
I personally think that kids are probably have much to do with with divorces as infidelity. I would take that one to the bank. You know.
I mean, it's a struggle. So I've got 2 kids. We're in the thick of it. We're in the shit, is what I would say. You know, like, so we're 6 and 8.
How old did you get? 6
and 8. So we're.
Oh, you haven't even begun to.
Right. I mean, so we're in the easy years, but you know, like my wife's a lawyer, so she's out in California doing depositions on whatever she's working on for 2 weeks. So while I'm manning, you know, the home, Mr. Mom, right? And so it's great. Like that's great. Like that's why this law firm exists. So that is the beautiful part of what we have here. We've got 10 lawyers here, and every single one of them's got a slew of kids, and everybody knows it's like clients come first, but really not really. Family comes first. And so great, I get to do all that. But, you know, like I rush home, you know, I gotta fight the traffic on Poydras because, you know, T-Swift is coming to town. I gotta make dinner, I gotta get the kids to eat the dinner, I got them to do their homework, I gotta make them take a bath, I gotta make them brush their teeth. Finally, we finished the dinner, right? So I've had like my cocktail. I'm like, you know, I got 5 minutes before I put their asses to bed. I'm sitting there with my 6-year-old, right? Because you can't just tell a 6-year-old to go to bed.
How
right?
long is your wife going to be in California?
2 weeks. So putting the kids to bed. My son says last night, pops up, he's like, "Oh, Daddy, I gotta go to the bathroom." I'm like, "What?" All right, I was just about to leave. I was thinking in my mind, I'm like, great, we're gonna start this process all over again with like the nursery.
You were about to leave to go where?
Downstairs. Like we were going to leave to go downstairs, finish my glass of wine, and stop putting my kids to bed.
Yeah.
And he right then there was like throws up everywhere. And just like
I had a girlfriend that did that once. It's a whole different story.
different causes, different reasons. So you know, it's a lot of work. I won't
Trust me, it
I
was.
won't lie about that. So I don't know if it's a cause for divorce. I suspect maybe it depends on your kids. It probably depends on your.
I think when
spouse.
just wait till they get older.
Yeah.
That's when the issues start.
Well, so I had my kids later. My wife is younger than I am, so I was older when I had my kids. So my goal was that I would work past those years, so that when they're older, I just will be at that like, oh, I don't care. Like I just won't give a shit phase. We're getting there. It's gonna happen.
How much age difference between you and your wife?
6 years. That's not too bad.
No.
It is if you're young, right? So if you're like 20 and 14, it's inappropriate, right? But when you're
Well, if you're 20 and 14, it's inappropriate.
right. But if
Yes.
you're when you're in your 30s,
Are you saying you
and
picked
she's
her
in
up
her
when she
20s,
was
it's
14?
totally normal, right? So yeah, now I'm in my 40s and whatever. We're all old, so it won't matter anymore. Going back to what we touched on, in that the 90s was a heavy vampire time.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still doing the vampire?
Yeah. We have like 12 different tours. We have the ghost tour, the vampire tour, the cemetery tour, the voodoo tour. We have a true crime tour. We have, pub
I would
crawl
think you
tour.
don't even need a true crime tour. You could just do like any crime.
Well,
I assume what's that? You just
New
bring
Orleans.
people down in the French Quarter and be like, statistically, 3 of you are going to get shot tonight.
Mhm. That's
You're
a
welcome.
Very good.
That'll be
point.
$25.
Well, I got a great story. I mean, I told this on a different podcast, but one of our tour guides, really sweet girl, but great shape, solid runner, exercises, athletic. She was doing her tour, and she was it was the middle of her tour, talking to her tour group, and a little kid on a bicycle rides by and grabs her cell phone out of her hand. She had it in her hand, and he grabbed it. He was flying down the street on the bike. She says to her group, "Excuse me 1 second," and she hauls after him, grabs him by his collar, gets faster than the bike, pulls him off the bike, steps on him and says, "Don't you ever do that," rips her phone and goes back to the group and says, "Now where was I?"
That's intense.
That's New Orleans.
That's, yeah.
That was haunted history tour.
That's right, that's haunted history tour. We're taking
We're
it
strong.
to a different level. We used to give you a pair of beads to wear around your neck. Now, everybody gets, everybody gets mugged.
Well, we don't just have beads. I mean, we used to have beads.
That was the thing, right? So you knew, like, who was, now you have the fans.
Well,
that's a
we've
good
always
thing.
had the fans.
You've always had the fans.
Especially this heat, this horrendous heat, this heat that is global warming times 10 is,
Did you ever see that? So you read the articles about global warming and they say temperatures are going to rise by 2 degrees. And I'm sitting there thinking, 2 degrees? Are you insane? It's 110 degrees? That's not 2 degrees. That's 20 degrees.
The thing is, our tourists, they come to New Orleans, they get a hotel room, they shower, they walk out on the street, they're feeling nice and clean.
Right.
Within 3 minutes, they're drenched.
They're just drenched.
They're drenched.
Oh, so I like this, and this has all the, and the dead of the next. So zombies are in. haunted. Yeah, it's not. I guess. Well.
Well, Dead of Night is our bus tour. We have a bus tour
Okay.
at night called the Dead of Night bus tour, where we take people outside of the French Quarter
Fun.
to cemeteries, graveyards, and haunted sites.
It's like the rich and famous tour. It's the
other
same
parts.
thing.
Well, that's the Garden District tour.
So you guys always would link up with. I think you do the Garden District cemetery tour, right? Like that one right across from
Unfortunately, the cemetery, Lafayette Cemetery, has been closed down for years, and so we cannot get into the cemetery. But we start our tour right by Commanders.
Okay. Yeah.
And we give them a great tour of the Garden District. You know, it's not a haunted tour per se. It's just a great tour of the Antebellum neighborhood.
We're not saying that's not haunted.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But you know, there are a lot of celebrities live in the Garden District
Yeah.
also. Do you know that Paul McCartney has a connection to the Garden District? I bet you didn't know that.
I did not know that.
I did not know that. I did not know that. His manager owns a home in the Garden District. A very, very, very famous, popular home in the Garden District, but not too many people know that.
I've never seen a famous person in New Orleans. Everyone's always saying when they meet these people, they see these people. Present company excluded, of course. But like I've never, one time in college, someone said that we ran into the guy from Clerks. Remember the movie Clerks?
No.
It's like a '90s cult. It's not even like a good.
I'm not even a big TV movie watcher.
Dante. That was Dante. I was like, I don't even know who that is. And I've seen that movie, but
I probably don't know who the Beatles are, do you?
I would know that. Well, I mean, I will tell you this: if John Lennon or George Harrison were here, I would certainly know about it.
They're dead.
Well, I know. That's why I would know.
Yeah.
I feel like you'd be bringing your ghost with you.
Yeah.
We did a segment on this. We did a Beatles versus the Stones.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I know where your allegiances are going to be.
Well, it's yeah. Well, the Beatles started the whole thing.
Sure.
I mean, the Stones were right there, right behind them, but the Beatles were really responsible for everything. I mean, they created the rock and roll audience. I mean, there would be no Nirvana, there would be no Foo Fighters, there would be anything that followed, and any of those bands, those classic bands will tell you, the Who, everyone. The Beatles are responsible.
Mm.
They came down from heaven. They created everything. They changed everything. They changed hair. They changed fashion. They changed music. Every album was different. They truly were gods. And when I met McCartney and I worked with McCartney, that was like my major dream come true for me. I mean, I was a rock and roll photographer from the time I was 15 years old. My father died when I was 15. He was an artist, but he dabbled in photography and left me all this photography equipment. Instead of taking pictures of flowers and houses, I went for rock stars. And back in those days, it was a lot easier to have access. And what I did was something that probably not a lot of photographers thought about, which was I also took pictures of the roadies, the road crew, working. And I figured, well, those are the guys that'll let you on the stage or kick you off the stage, and I appealed to their ego. So I would take pictures of them. I'd show them photos of themselves afterwards, and they, you took these of us. And I said, yeah. Oh man, come on. And they'd take me and introduce me to the bands and so on and so forth. So I
like that.
I was thinking long before I should have been thinking, or most people.
In this day, if you were taking pictures of like Taylor Swift's roadie, you'd probably get arrested.
Yeah, probably.
Like,
probably so.
There's some pervert over here, photographing my staff. So, all right, coolest show you've ever been to, best show you've ever been to. And you had to pick one.
Oh, well, Led Zeppelin, without a doubt. The Who and Led Zeppelin are certainly the two major, speaking from a photographer standpoint.
Right.
Because I capture action photos. The Who and Led Zeppelin, top. Allman Brothers Band, just because they were the best band to ever come out of America. It's a shame that very few people under the age of 50 are even aware of the Allman Brothers Band. They're what's that?
You gotta know the Allman Brothers. If you don't know the Allman Brothers, you don't know what music is.
You are so correct. And that's why I have with me my book.
Look at
on
you.
The Allman Brothers Band.
I love that.
I am Sidney Smith, the photographer responsible for this coffee table book, this 256-page coffee table book, full of amazing photos of
the Allman
the best band in America.
Sweet Melissa, that looks fantastic.
Totally. These, this book has on stage, off stage, the weddings, the funerals, the volleyball games, in the studio, on the stage, off the stage, the families, the whole thing. So, and it's only $39.95.
How many payments of $13.995?
No, $39.95.
$39.95.
This should be an $85 book easily. This is a coffee table
Barnes
book.
and Noble
This is
would
easily
not charge you $89. They would charge easily $200-$300.
Easily, and
they'd make you buy 2 cups of coffee.
You get these from me. It's only $39.95 with a $10 mailing fee, and it's yours anywhere except outside the United States, where, from what I understand, it's like $150 just to send the book to Europe. So
you gotta really want it. Hey, that's really cool. So
don't worry, I'll autograph it and give it to you before we leave.
Oh, I love that. So Allman Brothers are great. I love music. We're trying to teach our kids appreciation for music. My son, I was listening to something he really disapproved of whatever I had on, and so he likes to listen to the Rolling Stones. I was listening to some joints early. It's like I can't. I'm not rocking out at 7 o'clock in the morning.
What were you listening to?
I'm trying to remember what it was, but it wasn't good. Something new. I like to stay. So I love all music. I like to keep up. I always think it's like you get to a point. How do you know you're getting old? When you stop like keeping up with music. So
well,
but
okay. The younger generation doesn't even listen to real music. They're listening to EDM.
Yeah,
I mean, that's all that real music. They think that's real music. But
I can't think of her name off the top of my head. So I like this artist.
Is that the last person you interviewed?
Right. I'm so bad with names. It's apparently it wasn't that interesting because it's not even in my script. It doesn't matter. It wasn't, some indie artists. So I like to listen to like a lot of the indie stuff too because you get new sounds.
Oh, I learned a whole lot of music from hanging out with younger people.
Like ADM is like it is what it is, but there are like some really like no label kind of music that sometimes like I'll listen to XMU or something like that. You pick up on some new sound. You're like I like that. Like that's how I found like Phoebe Bridgers. I'm like, hey, I think she's kind of cool. I like her music. It's kind of like a new sound. I love Allman Brothers though. What I love about Led Zeppelin is. So this is like a coming of age band. Every boy who matures in America has a Led Zeppelin phase. Like you haven't reached like.
Well, Jimmy Page has his little duck phase.
Yeah, I mean, so you haven't reached adulthood until you've gone through your Led Zeppelin phase.
That's cock rock.
Exactly. There you go. Like I had the cassettes of the box set and the cassettes, and then I graduated to like the box set of the CDs. Once I was in college at that point or whatever. But like but so there are like these phases like Led Zeppelin. Everybody loves Led Zeppelin at some point, right, in their life. I think that would be a fun show to watch. What's the first show?
And I lived it in real time.
Yeah, I mean everything's always more fun in real time.
Yeah.
What's the first show you're going to?
I think Johnny Winter, maybe. No. I think Allman Brothers. I met the Allman Brothers when I was 16 years old. I crashed, when I was in high school, I crashed the Tulane University homecoming dance.
Okay.
It was 1970, and now I am 70. Amazing. So anyway, but I crashed the Tulane University homecoming dance where this band of brothers were playing, and that they'd already hit New Orleans a couple of times, and I was curious, and I never would have imagined in a million years that 50 plus years later I'd have all their addresses and phone numbers in my address book and be friends with the kids and in some cases grandkids even. I mean, one of the grandkids spent a week at my house a couple of months ago, so I'm close with those people. Obviously, I wrote the book.
I was going to say, you might be needing a lawyer otherwise. I didn't know if this was like, if there was a cease and desist situation.
Depending on what type of law you practice.
So, very, very cool. Any other books that,
I'm glad you asked that.
Oh, look at this! This is like
we also
The
have
Wizard of Oz.
The Haunted History book.
And vampires.
Yes, New Orleans Ghost, Voodoo, and Vampires. It's kind of a Cliff Notes version on all the tours that we offer, or the stories, not really the tours, but ghosts, voodoo, vampires. I mean, voodoo is practiced in New Orleans as a real religion. I mean, the voodoo tour that we offer is an actual academic tour on the religion of voodoo. If people come to haunted history tours thinking that and want to do a voodoo tour, they can be spooky, and no, that's not. We dispel the Hollywood myths about voodoo. And New Orleans is also considered to be the most haunted city in the country, hence haunted history tours, the ghost tour. It's still our flagship tour. The question is, why is New Orleans, the most haunted city in the country? Is, I mean, although St. Augustine likes to say they are, and I think a couple other cities, Savannah, St. Augustine, but New Orleans is the deal. But when the original French settlers came here, they were warned by the Indians not to build a city here. The area was cursed, but they went ahead and did that anyway, and they had to deal with everything: murder, the yellow fever. There were over 27 yellow fever epidemics in the 1800s alone that wiped out tens of thousands of people. And when you have a lot of death in a small area in a relatively short period of time, that results in hauntings, paranormal activity. And it is said that violent death and strong emotion create hauntings, and some people, they say rest in peace, but some people can't rest in peace, and that is why you have haunted history tours. If you can't, rest in peace. So,
okay. Did you watch that? There's like the haunting.
I watch nothing.
Show. You know what I'm talking about, though. When
I
they try to
vaguely-
record the ghosts.
Yeah. I think a lot of that.
And it's always just like static.
We had our own. Yeah, we had our own show in a couple of years ago. We had a show called Haunted New Orleans. I was the host of the show.
Did you see it?
I was the host.
But
of
did
the
you?
show. I never watched it. But I was like a Rod Serling type of host. Imagine if you will.
Right.
Submit it for your approval. So it was a good show. We investigate different hauntings every week, and believe it or not, you be the judge.
Yeah. So I've never done the ghost one, but now I feel like I kind of need to. I would say I take my kids, but man,
It's not spooky.
it took a long time for me to
here's the
convince my
deal.
son that there's no witch.
Is it gonna be scary? Oh no, it's disturbing. It's not so much scary. It's not like a Halloween spook house.
Right.
We don't have people jumping out trying to scare you along the way. If that happens, it's the real deal. You're being mugged.
You are.
This is New Orleans.
Right. Do you still drop off? You still stop off along the way for drinks? Is that something?
It's not a significant part of the tour. It's a bathroom break, a drink break,
It's
middle
a
of the tour.
significant part
For you.
for me.
Yes, I'm sure it was in your day. Yes.
But I was like, this is the highlight of the show.
Yeah, well, for you, yeah.
This is great.
Unfortunately. But yeah,
They too.
yeah, we still do a bar break in the middle of the day, haunted bar. It could be Lafitte's Blacksmith Shop or one of those down there.
Oldest
And there's no shortage of haunted locations in the French Quarter. Everything's haunted. Or it was a whorehouse, one or the other.
Or both.
Or both.
Yeah. You don't know. I don't know.
Haunted
So I started telling my kids, we were walking past the convent, the Ursuline convent in the French Quarter, and I started telling them what I remember from my vampire tour about like the shutters and all that. And my wife was
Good
like,
memory.
what are you talking about? And well, I went on it twice. And so I started telling her, she's like, you shut up, don't tell the kids that. I was like, all right, fine, let's just.
It's documented here in the book.
It's in the book, honey. You know what? We're going on a drink break. We played tourist not that long ago, and you have a way of getting like jaded in your own town, right? And so
That's the way I feel about marriage.
right? Yeah, I mean, like I don't go downtown anymore. We used to go walk to the quarter. We don't do that anymore because we're gonna get shot. I don't feel like getting.
I like that.
I don't feel like getting shot today.
So
So
you
now,
leave my house.
right? we were holed up here on Pointers, but this time we realized our kids had never been to the French Quarter. And so we made like a whole day out of it. We took a carriage ride, and I realized I was like, I'm 45 years old. I've never taken a carriage ride.
And that's the bad thing, I'm glad you bring that up because, most people don't experience anything this town has to offer, the ones who live here. No riverboat rides, no
Right.
buggy rides, no walking tours, no bus tours. They take it all for granted. They don't enjoy the World War II museum, anything. It's just like no swamp tours. This city, this state has so many things to offer. And And the people that live here don't even bother, the only time we usually see locals on our tours is rare, really rare. But usually the only time is Halloween time. And they all come out for Halloween thinking that it's like a spook house, but it's not. It's, it's an actual tour. But that's just a shame.
It's a good time for New Orleans. Halloween's always, I love Halloween in New Orleans because it's
like Mardi Gras.
It's like the first breath of cool air comes through the city. And it always is like, it was my whole childhood. It could be 1,000 degrees, and then Halloween night's like the first night that there's like a little chill in the air or something like that. And it's still that way. Like I can still just bank on like, and you can wear jeans.
And the week before Halloween, I sponsored the Crew of Boo.
Which I've seen. My sister got married in the French Quarter immediately following Katrina. And we were on Jackson Square as the Crew de Boo came out, or present, whatever, rolled by, you should say.
Not Crew de Boo, Crew of Boo.
Crew of Boo.
Like a major full-scale Mardi Gras type parade, bands and huge floats and, the whole thing.
I haven't seen it with floats, so maybe I'm...
Oh, no, you're thinking of the wrong thing. I know.
This was like the week before Halloween.
No. This isn't the Crew de Boo. This is the Crew of Boo.
Of Boo, right. No.
Big, like, I'm talking like tens of thousands of people on the street, down Canal Street, like up.
Has it always been that big?
It's getting bigger every year. But it's been going on maybe for 15 years now.
Okay. So the year is 2005 in my mind. So maybe it's a different one, but it's like a walking. It was like at this point.
No, that's the Crew de Boo.
I always think Crew de Boo is the week, like 2 weeks before Mardi Gras.
Whatever.
It doesn't matter.
There's some other stuff.
Point is, it was a lot of fun. We weren't part of it because we were at this wedding, but it meant a lot to all of us at the time. To be like present in Jackson Square after having had this diaspora from the city, and then we saw this sort of Halloween themed, parade, the week before Halloween, and the weather was really nice, and it was a big moment for all of us who were born and raised here, to sort of like fall back in love, reminisce, with the city that we love and that we had to leave, and so that's why the New Orleans love-hate thing. It's easy to hate New Orleans, but if you're from here and you've been through it all, you have to love it at the same time. And so I would encourage for all my 4 listeners, go be a tourist in New Orleans, go to the haunted history tours, because one, I've done it and it's actually really cool, and now I want to do it again because I want to go on the ghost tour. Because for us, it was
that's why you have me on your podcast.
And this is why I want to bring
ticket to the haunted history tour.
Exactly.
I've already given you a book. Don't push your luck with me.
But be a tourist in your own town. Take a buggy ride. I don't want to go on a swamp tour, but my kids want me to, so maybe. But I'm not doing it in the summer. Maybe like a frozen history tour.
Well, the thing is, if you take a swamp tour in the winter, you're not going to see any critters. They stay hibernating. You got to take the swamp tour in the summer, but then you'll sweat your tail off.
All right, we'll pass. We'll do something else. We'll go on another tour. Because
that's why we have an air-conditioned bus at night. It takes you outside the French Quarter. That's the Dead of Night bus tour, haunted history tours.
What you need to do is get yourself an air-conditioned airboat. That way, you can cruise along the marshes of South Louisiana in comfort.
Remember,
put the fan in front of the people instead of behind it. So, thanks so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Haunted history tours. Definitely,
hauntedhistorytours.com.
If you haven't been, you need to check it out. And what you do need to do, if you love the Allman Brothers, as you should, you need to check out the Allman Brothers.
This is can be accessed on the website by Allman Brothers Book by SidneySmith.com. Allman Brothers Book by SidneySmith.com.
That's a very short URL. That's good.
Yeah, and Sidney is SIDNEY, not SYD, which is unfortunately a mistake some people make, but SY is the female version of Sidney, and I am most definitely the male.
I can attest, he is a man. So for those of you listening on Spotify and not watching this, we are speaking to Sidney with an I. So, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
I'm in touch with the female side, though.
But absolutely, we should all be that. Yes. But we want to make sure the spelling's right.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, sir.
And Allman, not Almond. It's Allman.
Am I saying it wrong?
Real quick story. Jimi Hendrix was playing at the Atlanta Pop Festival, 1969, 70, and Allman Brothers were on first. And he said, man, that's good music. And he said, what's that band's name? And someone said, that's the Allman Brothers. Allman Brothers. Good name. Allman Brothers. I said, no, Jimmy, that's
just
actually
their name.
real name. Allman Brothers. Yeah, Allman Brothers. Just a quick
Yeah,
little.
whatever you need. However you need to remember it. It'll work.
Right.
I like that. All right, well, here, one last story. So my parents always used to tell me, you know that old abandoned Holiday Inn as you're approaching Slidell on the Twin Spans in New Orleans.
Mhm.
And I think they're gonna like turn it into like really shitty apartments. It's next to like a porno store. There's like a freestanding, you know.
You would know where that is.
It's a freestanding pornography establishment. And it's been graffitied, which is remarkable that I'm always amazed that someone can graffiti something 125 feet in the air. But at any rate, so every time I drive by, I always say, hey, you know, kids, as if they even know what I'm talking about. When the Beatles came to town, this is the hotel they stayed in. And
That was actually on Airline Highway. The Beatles stayed on Airline Highway, I think, in some tiny little,
they were not at the Ritz.
no, they were not. In fact, they were all in the same hotel room. You were sharing, 2 beds each. It's ridiculous how things have changed.
But now my kids make fun of me, my wife makes fun of me, so anytime we pass this hotel, right, there was like, hey, did you guys know that this is where the Beatles stayed? I'm like, you know what, shut up. I don't know shit. All right, well, hey, thanks a lot for coming.
All right.
Thank you for joining me today on Above the Legal Limit. If you enjoyed the show and you want to hear more about business and law, hit that subscribe button. If you didn't like the show, keep it to yourself. Remember, there's no limit to what we can achieve. We will see you next week. Until then, even though we're above the legal limit, let's drive safely. Cheers, everyone.